I'm in a bad mood. I just lost my job. I'm a 30-year-old in the turn of the 21st century, which means I'm poor and women won't date me. So, I thought it'd be a good idea to start recording my opinions for the internet. It seems like my only two options at this point. Start a podcast and complain about modern women, or complain about a movie I saw once. You know, whatever gets me the clicks and views. Okay. Endgame. I don't like this movie.
I don't like it.
I asked someone I know if they remembered the film. She said she remembered going to see it. Perfect review. Avengers Endgame. You saw it.
Good for you.
I thought Endgame was going to be the greatest time travel movie of all time. But it was not. It was another disappointment.
Best season ever!
So, here we are now, 5 years later, and I thought I'd write a good version of the film.
Yeah, boy.
I needed to cut down the video a bit because I know you guys are easily distracted. I know you guys watching this are probably too busy with your well-paid jobs and affordable houses and many offsprings and loved ones.
Psych!
Yeah, you can call me JK Trolling. I actually wrote a sci-fi novel set at the end of this century where most millennials have to become cyborgs so they can keep working because they can't afford to retire. It's called Super Ego, link in the description. So, Endgame. What would I change? Let's start with Infinity War. 1. Doctor Strange portaling everyone on Titan back to Earth. After they lost the fight with Thanos on Titan, what are they doing up there? Strange. Start thinking with portals. Take them back to Earth. It's not like he can't do it. He does it at the end of Endgame. Ugh, dumb idiot character. The last scene of Infinity War, before Thanos enjoying his victory, should be the Avengers and Guardians portaling back to the Wizard's mansion. Tony getting furious at these frauds to try and getting away from them to try and call his wife. The Guardians maybe look around New York.
What the fuck are y'all wearing?
Then the snap starts taking effect. The Guardians turn to dust, except Nebula. Tony running into the house to find Peter and Strange, however, they disappear without a trace. 2. Ant-Man post-credit scene. Ant-Man. Aliens are invading Africa. This is no time for science. So, bearing that in mind, no Tony and Nebula drifting through outer space for no reason.
Nope.
And no Captain Deus Ex Machina to save them.
Nope.
No Rat Deus Ex to save Ant-Man.
Nope.
Ugh, bad writing. Okay. With these two changes, we can salvage this movie. Endgame pre-opening starts with Hawkeye and his family. It's a good scene, so it can stay. Now, Endgame should start with the Avengers regrouping at headquarters within 12 hours of the snap. No Captain Marvel in the picture. Now, this scene...
Nothing for you, Cap. I got no coordinates, no clues. No
I really
strategies,
like this scene. This is my second favorite Robert Downey Jr. performance after...
You dudes don't know what duty is! Here, take this. You find him, you put that on. You hide.
And also, since they don't have a spaceship, since it was left on Titan, they can't fly out into space and find Thanos. So, a day or two later, enter Adam Warlock. He arrives to Earth on a spaceship to try and...
He comes to Earth on a mission to discover why half of all life in the universe was wiped from existence. The Avengers meet with him and explain the situation. Adam Warlock finds Earth via
the Snap's energy pulse.
Earth became ground zero for a power surge of ridiculously cosmic proportions. No
With that
one's ever
information,
seen
they
anything
discover
like
a second cosmic power
Until 2
surge on a
days
foreign
ago.
planet and believe it to be Thanos' location.
He used the stones again.
So Adam Warlock wants to recruit
Earth's mightiest heroes to take down Thanos.
Okay. Who
They
here-
track it to his planet, and Black Widow's all like, "This is gonna work, Steve."
Wrong.
They plan to ambush Thanos, but with Adam Warlock instead of Captain Marvel. who can speak in the vacuum
head down for
of space?
recon.
Huh?
I beg your pardon? I beg your pardon?
Boom. Bam. Bop. Bada bop. Boom. Pow.
My father is many things. A liar is not one of them.
When I first saw the scene, I thought for sure Thanos was lying. I'm like, are you sure, Nebula? Dads lie. Dads lie all the time. My dad lied to me. Santa Claus, Tooth Fairy, coming home with the milk. More importantly, does Thanos have the power to let power go? I have my doubts. The Infinity Gauntlet is ultimate power, after all.
Ultimate power.
And, you know, what if the Avengers aren't the only ones to show up to Thanos' doorstep? There could be a cameo, some new characters for the next movie phase, you know, something interesting, something cool. Either way, Thor executes Thanos and they move on. So now, 5 years after the snap, the Avengers are functional. I'll put it that way, they're still functional. Also, most people would struggle to move on or to move forward. There would be war, suicides, economic disaster, all that. The world is cursed now. I suppose Captain Marvel could be of use because she is essentially a one-man army, so she's probably using her powers to save someone or stop some conflict somewhere. So now, it's the 5-year anniversary of the snap, so the Avengers decide to hold a little reunion party.
Let's party!
Everybody comes to catch up, well, except Thor and Marvel. Tony and Steve haven't seen each other in years and try to keep it civil.
Fuck you!
Everybody shares, laments, updates. Iron Man has his family.
Stop or you will be destroyed.
Captain America is attending support groups like Falcon did with the veterans. Banner hasn't turned into the Hulk in years, and the Hulk just doesn't want to come out anymore. And he is now in a relationship with Natasha because he has nothing to fear. Ant-Man is also there. He brought beer.
I got beer.
Hawkeye is on vacation, quote unquote. Yeah, let's call it that. On a vacation in Japan, just John Wicking, axing criminals.
Double kill. Killing frenzy.
Who did nothing to him, by the way. New Asgard is a thing. Oh, and what about the Wakandans? Are they still helping black communities in Compton? Because, you know, that would be nice. You know, just urban youths in a UFO ship or a bulletproof catsuit here and there. Thank you. Thanks, T'Challa. I guess they're probably busy, maybe. Yeah, that's fine. War Machine is spreading good old American democracy.
Motherfucker, it's the United States of America, and I hear you guys got oil that isn't under my possession. So turn off the stove and return the oil to me before I have to resort to bringing democracy.
Nebula is maybe going to therapy for her daddy issues. I don't know. The reunion party is what it is, you know? A funeral. So Tony decides to leave early.
I'll be on the next net jet out of here, baby. You feel me?
And drive to the wizard's house to pay respects to Peter. He apologizes for not saving him. He blames himself. No, just kidding. He blames everyone but himself.
I got nothing for you, Cap.
But then starts to blame himself. He thinks, you know, maybe if he could have done more, he could have saved him. And then he asks himself, what Strange meant by "we're in the endgame." Just then, the time stone appears right in front of Tony. Okay, boom. So now there's no need to have a scene where Tony figures out time travel with holograms. What is that, a Mobius strip? Anyway, it's bad writing. Bad writing. It also means there's no scene where they have to build a chandelier time machine with a cyborg space raccoon from Mars. Also, bad writing. Moving on. I think that's what... At least I think that's what happens. It sounds so ridiculous, I'm not even sure. And since we're on the topic, this scene. I hate this scene. The Credible Hulk tries to explain paradox-free time travel. where your past is
I
now
don't
your
know why
future
everyone
and your
believes that, but
former
that isn't
present
true.
becomes
Think
the
about it.
past.
If you travel to the past, that past becomes your future. And your former present becomes the past, which can't now be changed by your new future.
Exactly.
None of this makes sense.
That smells just like baloney for some reason.
Bullshit. I want to see your credentials, Professor Hulk. What he's describing is the state which the individual traveling in time is in, not what happens to space-time continuity. If what he said was true, they wouldn't need to return the stones. In the original movie, they dick over their past selves.
So Back to the Future is a bunch of bullshit?
No, Paul Rudd's character, whose name eludes me, Back to the Future is not BS. This is BS. And there's no way Steve managed to return all the stones and get a new shield at the end. Come on. Alright, I've saved about 30 minutes of screen time. You're welcome. So, Tony, with the time stone, thinks to return to the Avengers, but remembers he didn't witness Peter or Strange die. So, he uses the time stone to
rewind time.
Chaos control!
To the moment of the snap. Freezes time when he finds Peter and Strange. He sees them both looking away in the corner of the room. He walks over to see what they're looking at. He doesn't see what they're looking at, but then realizes that it's him. So he unfreezes time, shocking Peter, who's really confused, but Tony just goes in for the hug, just happy to see him.
Took a whole lot of time just to get up that hill. Now we up in the big leagues. Getting out there, baby. As long as you live, it's you and me, baby.
That's the theme song for the Jeffersons.
He thought he was dead. It's been 5 years for him and 5 seconds for Peter. Even though Tony had a kid, he thinks of Peter as the son he never had. Strange then takes the stone and freezes time for the three of them. Strange explains he didn't know whether or not he would survive the snap. Strange clarifies to Tony that he sent the stone forward in time from the past on Titan because he saw through the time stone that Tony would come here, and that's why Tony needed to survive. Strange asks how long it's been. Tony takes him outside to show them. They fast forward to the present. People turn to dust, cars crash, planes fall, panic, riots in the street, etc., etc., until arriving to a present, dark, near dystopian New York. Tony scolds Strange for all the devastation. They get in Tony's car and head back to Avengers HQ. Maybe Peter asks about his aunt and his friends on the way. But by the time they get there, the party is over and the guests are gone. Tony rewinds time to the point just after he left.
Feel that? Yeah. Here comes another. Oh, there we go. Now what?
Tony introduces Peter and Strange. Everyone is shocked and confused, and then Tony unveils the Time Stone, a gift that just arrived. Maybe cracks a joke like, a 5-year shipping delay. Almost immediately, they begin to discuss should they or should they not use time travel to collect the other Infinity Stones and undo what Thanos has done and bring everyone back. The conclusion they reach is, if it were 5 years ago, they do it immediately. However, so much has changed.
Yeah, well, I got verified on Twitter.
I got verified on Twitter?
Yeah.
That's his change?
Anyone can get verified on Twitter these days.
Someone suggests just going back and stopping Thanos to begin with, but then Strange steps in to explain the grandfather paradox. You can't go back in time to change the future, because if you do, you could have never gone back to the past to change anything to begin with.
We just getting a second opinion, Doc.
Strange explains that if the future you came from no longer exists, you loop into a new timeline. It's very dangerous and can rip apart the fabric of space and time and destroy the universe and all existence itself. A hush falls over the Avengers. A moment of silence. And then everyone is almost immediately on board. Because this timeline sucks. They've had 5 years to think about what they do differently and decide to bring everyone back. And because they are responsible adults, They think, should they tell the world leaders and the public
has a right to know
what they're doing? And just considering if it's moral. Like, is it moral now that the world has moved on? They are kind of resurrecting zombies. Would people start Romeo and Julieting all over the place? I thought you were dead.
But I thought you were dead!
It could be an even greater disaster. But I guess with all 6 stones, they could literally do anything. Solve all issues. The power of a god. They just need to not make a mess of it. Also, it's not just Earth going through the suffering. It's everywhere all at once. So, it's probably the right thing to do. But first, they need to locate and collect all the stones before Thanos got a hold of them. And remember to return them the moment they take them for continuity. Probably assemble... So, they probably assemble the others, call up for Nebula and Rocket. I think Black Widow should just tell them to go to New York 2012 Invasion Day and get the Space Stone and the Mind Stone, because...
I don't know, you're as good as any man.
It's a good idea. And once they get the Space Stone...
Thanos really just crushed a 4-dimensional object into a 3-dimensional state with his bare hand.
And once they get the Space Stone, when combined with the power of the Time Stone, you have... Drumroll, please.
Brother!
A time machine. So simple, right? I should write for Disney. Ugh. Because what the hell is going on up there? So, that's what they do. Tony says they should probably get a move on. Because if he knows what he's like,
I know who I am.
He's probably already come back from the past and is waiting on the other side of that door. Captain wants to come along for the mission. As an old man, he too yearns for the past.
This doesn't make any sense. Boys are boys and girls are girls.
I know.
Tony isn't feeling it.
You can't beat him hand to hand.
Wait a minute.
Sorry. Check out suit.
And tries to leave him behind.
Stop tailgating me, you pasty teabag!
As he, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange head out, the 4 of them from the future, after the mission, are waiting, just like Tony said. Peter thinks it's just a long mirror at first,
Rude to point.
and maybe does the whole pointing meme for fun. Steve from the future hands present Steve his old outfit, and maybe Tony pays himself a compliment.
You more shredded than a julienne salad, man. You wanna hold my dick?
They go to Tony's car. Tony goes to the trunk and gives Steve his shield. Before they drive into New York, Steve apologizes for lying about not knowing about Tony's parents. And while they're heading down the road, a car driving in the opposite direction honks at them, and Peter sees them in the car. As they arrive, Steve says he needs some time to get changed, and they see Tony and an already dressed Captain America waiting outside. Tony asks Steve how long he needs, but future Tony replies 5 minutes. Tony uses the time stone. Him and the captain disappear. Peter is trying to keep track of all the time loops. They rewind through time to 2012 New York. I'd keep Steve seeing the same, but getting the Space Stone could vary depending on what time they arrive. I don't actually write a scene for how they get the Space Stone, but if you subscribe, I promise I'll write one. Anyway, they're successful. They get the 2 stones and time travel to the present. They decide to drive to wherever Steve's outfit is so that they can deliver it to them from the past. They drive so they can discuss the best case scenario and how they should do things. Tony mentions he has a daughter to Peter, whatever. They get the Captain America suit and time travel to outside the reunion party. They go in as their past selves are leaving to the mission to the past.
You wanna hold my dick?
Oh boy. And then they present the stones to the Avengers. So now they can teleport, they can conveniently assemble the team. Thor, Nebula, and Rocket. Oh, and Hawkeye.
And I have a bow and arrow.
Once they all get their obligatory introduction and screen time, we can begin Act 2. They assemble the old gang. 4 is fat because that's what happens when you lose everyone and everything you care about. Not that I can relate.
I'm 1,500 years old.
They locate the 3 other stones: reality, power, and soul. Maybe with the Mind Stone and Time Stone they can create a psychic link with each other. I don't know. With all the portaling that they did, they attract Adam Warlock.
According to my YouTube and Wikipedia research,
I read that he has telepathy and cosmic awareness, so he can detect anomalies in space and maybe time. I'm not sure, but that's what it says. Maybe with his help, they can use the Mind Stone to create a psychic link with each other from the past. Who knows? I'm not sure. Either way, they open time portals. Tony gets to work making an iron infinity gauntlet and keeps Peter around, and Banner too. Yeah, I don't think Spider-Man and the Hulk have actually met in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Maybe they start figuring out the logistics of resurrecting 4 billion people and maybe make calls for a press announcement. The Reality Stone, Force Scene, keep the same. Power Stone, Nebula Scene, keep the same. Soul Stone. Okay, now, since all the Soul Stone does is kill women, I thought we'd do things a little differently. Pay a little respect to the Bechdel test. It honestly feels like they didn't know what or want to write for Scarlett Johansson's character, so they just killed her off. And that's misogyny. I mean, I've gobbled enough red pills to know misogyny when I see it. Don't believe me? Well, ask yourself this. Do you think Tony or Steve would give up their lives for the Soul Stone? Exactly. So why is it that Black Widow is expendable all of a sudden? They killed her off because it was convenient, it saved time, and brought a few cheap tears from the audience. Sorry about that. So, in my version, since Hawkeye is working to see his family again, and Black Widow is in a stable, happy relationship, and doesn't need to be on suicide watch, instead of having the two fight each other to die first, they regroup with the team and look for an alternative solution. Like a team of heroes, goodness sake. They discuss and think for a minute. And Ant-Man thinks, just go back to Thanos right before he destroyed the stones. Even though he probably wasn't there. Good idea, either way.
You're as good as any man.
So simple. Disney, hire me as a writer. I accept payment in fistfuls of cash. So, that's the plan. They teleport to Thanos' planet, and then reverse time to the point they originally showed up. But it's revealed that Thanos wasn't dead. It was just an illusion with the Reality Stone.
Chris Angel, Mind Freak, David Blaine, Trapdoor, horse shit jumping off here.
And then, while they play time forward, they witness Thanos descend into madness. Because if you've noticed, with the previous movie villains, exposure to the Mind Stone seems to make them...
an imbecile. Yeah. Like the dumbest motherfucker that ever lived.
Less competent as villains. So, why not the same for Thanos? Also, the living in isolation should probably have some damaging effects. That plus Gamora talking to him from within the Soul Stone should plague his mind. I feel like she should be asking him to find proof that the universe is grateful for what he did. Maybe using the Soul Stone and the Reality Stone to give her a physical presence, so he's not just talking to himself, and then they see him teleporting away with the Infinity Gauntlet. The Avengers question what they just witnessed, and where Thanos would go, and if they should follow him. Doctor Strange rewinds time to the moment Thanos is mid-teleport, and Ant-Man goes in to steal the Soul Stone. Nebula suggests grabbing the Time Stone so he can't rewind time and undo what they're about to do. She is still a double agent for Thanos from the past, and is plotting to bring him to the future. She decides to hold the Time Stone so it doesn't get mixed with the other Time Stone. Ant-Man goes in, steals both stones, and they time travel back to present-day Earth. Things seem a little different, but it's not obvious, and no one notices. Enough time passes, everything is in place and set up. They have a huge plot of land to place everyone they're about to bring back. So now they just need to decide who is going to put on the gauntlet and do the snap. I'm thinking Adam Warlock should, but they don't really trust him. Plus, he's like 5 years old. Understands what he'll be undoing. So they decide it has to be
The strongest Avenger, okay? So this responsibility falls upon you.
Banner. Well, really, the Hulk. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, honestly, so much. I appreciate it greatly. Please like and subscribe for part 2. Otherwise, it won't happen. I'm not even joking. All right, bye.